The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour rolls into the Seekonk Speedway in Massachusetts for the 6th race of the 2024 campaign. Fans are lining up to enter the Concrete Palace and have an opportunity to meet and see their favorite drivers compete tonight. Among them, the defending race winner, Matt Hirschman, who won the Mayhew Tool Pole Award earlier today. He's looking for another victory here at Seekonk Speedway. But back to challenge is Doug Kobe. He'll drive the number 44 car tonight. He's a two-time winner, the only driver to do that here at Seekonk. Austin Beers, he's got momentum on his side. 2 consecutive runner-up finishes as a young driver looking for his first win of the season. And how about Ron Silk? 3 wins this season, and he's got a swagger as he walks through the pit area today. He's the point leader and the defending series champion. Up next from Seekonk Speedway, it's a J&R Precast 150 on Flow Racing. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Seekonk Speedway in Massachusetts. I'm Joe Koss alongside Ben Dodge. The Modifieds gritting on the front stretch. And Ben, it's been an eventful day and prepared for an eventful night tonight.
It certainly is. And, of course, we've got a field that is mighty and strong. There's only been one individual that has been a repeat winner over the years here at Seekonk. Today, will it all change? Stay tuned. Joe, we're about to find out.
Earlier today, after qualifying, Matt Hirschman won the Mayhew Tools Pole Award, but NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour has a redraw procedure. For that presentation, let's go down and catch up with Jacqueline Drake.
We are here at the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Redraw Wheel. This is something new that is coming to play in 2024, which means the pole winner of the race will come and spin the beautiful wheel here, and depending on what number it lands on will be the number of drivers that will have to redraw their positions. Now, just a reminder, this will be their starting position. So, Matt Hirschman, our fastest driver of this evening, is going to go ahead and spin the wheel, and we'll see how many drivers will have to redraw for a position. Matt, you spun it pretty hard there. It's going to keep on going here. And it's going to land on... Oh! Is it a 4 or a 10?
It's a 10.
Matt Hirschman is saying 10. All right, Jimmy Wilson right here. He's saying that's going to have to be a respin. That's not something that Matt wants to see. All right, Matt, go ahead and give us another spin. We're going to try that again. We have not seen that happen here at the wheel just yet. You really don't want to have to redraw all 10. There's more numbers if that happens. So here we go. What are we going to land on this time? Getting down to the wire. Oh, my. 8. All right, that is a clean cut 8 right here. Matt, you're going to be the first up. You're going to go ahead and redraw out of our number 8 bucket for starting position. Oh. 8. So, all right, so Matt Hirschman, who qualified on the pole, will have to start in the 8th position. Next up, Austin Beers, who qualified in 2nd. There he goes. He's got the pole, the number 1. Next up, Kyle Bonsignor is going to go ahead and draw from the bucket, number 3. Good starting position here is Seekonk. Matt Swanson, next up to bat. And out of the bucket, he pulls a number 2, outside, first row. All right, Jake Johnson, come on down. Pull from the bucket. Number 4, starting position. That's pretty good. It brings him up 1 spot from his original qualifying effort. Next up is going to be Patrick Emmerling, who qualified on 6 but will redraw. Number 7. And next up, we're going to have the number 51 of Justin Bonsignor. Number 5. Quite the promotion from qualifying that 7th. And last but not least, we have the number 14 of Jake Lutz, 6, starting position. Now, we've redrawn the entire top 8, but let's talk to the driver who pulled that number 1, and man, did that work out for you. You qualify in the second position, not last year, but also this year. So pulling that number 1 definitely has to be quite an advantage. Matt Hirschman, who has dominated here last year, going to be starting in 8th. What's going through your mind, and how big of an advantage is that going to be for you?
Oh, it's a huge advantage having that track position, and usually I suck at redraws, so I'm surprised I didn't get 7 or something, so definitely proud to be on the pole here. Just got to be out front 150 hard ones there. Just be good throughout the race, and we'll be there at the end.
Seekonk Speedway can be a little bit challenging, doesn't have straightaways. You're constantly turning that wheel. How are you able to keep up your stamina for 150 laps?
I know some guys, they put their head right on the headrest, so I don't think I'll be doing that, but this kind of is like my home track, Mahoning Valley Speedway, just the way it is, the way it's shaped. Just kind of, have a lot of finesse here, so just being consistent, keeping our momentum up, and hopefully we can come away with a win.
Well, congratulations. Good luck to you this evening. Austin Beers is going to be leading the field to green tonight in the J&R Precast 150.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Austin Beers, the big winner in the redraw here tonight. Stick with us. Coming up momentarily will be driver introductions for the J&R Precast 150 at Seekonk Speedway.
New England drives Ira Acura Westwood. Shop our exceptional lineup of new Acura models. And with Acceleride, purchase online and we'll bring your new Acura directly to you. Looking to sell? We'll buy your vehicle. Any make, model, or year. We're paying top dollar. Need service? We have you covered. Our factory-trained technicians will have you back on the road safely in as little time as possible. Visit us online at IraAcuraWestwood.com. New England drives Ira.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Gene.
New England drives Ira Acura Westwood. Shop our exceptional lineup of new Acura models. And with Acceleride, purchase online and we'll bring your new Acura directly to you. Looking to sell? We'll buy your vehicle. Any make, model, or year. We're paying top dollar. Need service? We have you covered. Our factory-trained technicians will have you back on the road safely in as little time as possible. Visit us online at IraAcuraWestwood.com. New England drives Ira.
I'm Matthew Slater, 16-year pro football veteran and special teams captain. I know about drive, hard work, dedication, going the extra mile. I know about the drive to improve every day, every rep, every mile, so that when your number's called, you're ready to answer. I know about drive, and so does Ira.
Start your game-winning drive at Ira Buick GMC.
New England drives Ira.
Well, the Whelen Modified Tour competitors gridded along the front straightaway here at Seekonk Speedway, ready to take on 150 laps of a very tricky and challenging racetrack. And Ben, this racetrack has certainly created quite the excitement throughout the years. Let's go trackside for the command.
Well, thank you very much. I've got the ladies of J&R Precast down here. The command. Ladies.
Drivers, start your engine!
Well, there's nothing like it, the sound of mighty horsepower. Here at one of the most famous short tracks on the East Coast, the Seekonk Speedway. The Vendetti family have hosted some of the most exciting and competitive events. Great look at Ronnie Silk. But that's just one of the many stories as the drivers are strapped in. Doug Goby, car number 44. In practice here today, nobody was a shoe-in runaway. Let's go back and take a look there for a second. Car number 1, Patrick Emmerling, started the season strong, consistent podium runs, but then at Riverhead, Joe, everything changed.
Riverhead, it changed it all. He had some bad luck for Patrick Emmerling, had to come down pit road late. And Ron Silk continued to build the momentum that he has this year, scoring his third victory of the season. This racetrack, very, very, very tricky. You've got to be up on the wheel, but really you've got to have that old egg under that right foot gas pedal. Very easy to overdrive this racetrack.
Certainly is, and you have to save the right rear tire. There's no question about it. You have to have drive off the turn, but you can't burn up that right rear. We're going to see who's been able to save those tires and end up the man in victory lane. Again, as we said before, only two individuals. Matt Swanson already has a victory this season, not on the Whelen Modified Tour. That took place in the Modified Race Series. To the inside of the front row, that, of course, is Austin Beers. Now, remember, Austin's dad won this race driving for the Bowler family. That was the story in the competition way back then, but let's see what will happen today. They pull away from the starting grid.
Let's take a quick look at the starting lineup for tonight's J&R Precast 150 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. By virtue of the redraw, Austin Beers and Matt Swanson on the front row. Kyle Bonsignor qualified third, redrew third. He'll start 3, and Jake Johnson, winner earlier this season, he is in the 4th position.
Let's go back to row number 3. Justin Bonsignor is there, along with Jacob Lutz in his first Whelen Modified Tour start this season. Patrick Emmerling makes up the 4th row with Matt Hirschman with car number 60, the defending race winner.
Row 5, Stephen Kopsick will start the 21. First start of the season for him. Craig Lutz, solid season so far, starts inside the top 10. How about Ron Silk? He'll start 11th tonight. Timmy Salamito starts 12th.
Then we go back to the 7th row. It'll be Tommy Catalano. Doug Goby starting back in the 14th starting position, the only two-time winner in this event. Sam Bramo returns to the competition, making up the 8th row with Anthony Cecily.
17th tonight, Kyle Ebersol alongside Tyler Catalano. Then you go back to his brother Trevor Catalano and Tom Rogers in the top 20.
Then we go to Ken Heggie. Tim Conley will pick up at the rear of the field, and Melissa Fifield. They rumble, they make the ground shake. These are the men and women of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
Let's take a look at the race analysis for tonight's event. The J&R Precast 150, 150 laps, 82 degrees. It was sunny. Now the sun has gone down and we're ready to race under the lights.
We sure are. This is a third-mile race facility. Tire allotment, no change tires. That could be a key ingredient in all of this. This event brought to you by J&R Precast. And as you look up behind turn number 2, you can see the display there. Story of this race, the keys of the race: be smooth, control the pace, and most important, develop a rhythm and maintain that rhythm throughout each and every lap.
Take a look at some of the track facts here at Seekonk Speedway. Seekonk, Massachusetts, just a little bit east of Providence, Rhode Island. This track used to be dirt, but it's been asphalt since 1980. It opened up in 1946. Third mile racetrack. It's basically a circle once we get under the green flag. And Matt Hirschman led wire to wire 150 laps 1 year ago to score his first victory under the Whelen Modified Tour banner here at Seekonk Speedway.
Certainly has. And of course, as we said before, a great group of race fans are assembled. Old Blue, the pride of the legendary Carl Bugsy Stevens, a great tribute earlier. We'll be talking about that later in the event. Looks like 2 circuits before we get them fired back up here. We're looking at the men in the entire field as they have pulled away from the starting grid. Austin Beers said it best, Joe. He said starting up front is a huge advantage. That advantage was not the advantage that Matt Hirschman had at the start of this event. 1 year ago, he was a guy starting up in that front row.
Yeah, Matt Hirschman earlier today, fastest in practice, qualified in the Mayhew Tools pole, but on these short track season, NASCAR has implemented the redraw. You might have seen that earlier in our pre-race coverage. He was the first to draw. He spun 8 drivers to redraw at the top of the grid, and he picked pill number 8, so he has to start in the 8th position. That's the second time this season that has happened to Matt Hirschman.
It is, and you could see as we looked at that situation what happened. He was not a happy guy. He spun the chip off, and of course, he is ready. And ready is car number 60. Craig Lutz behind him, the number 46 car.
1 to go at the line. We'll get ready to turn them loose here. A couple of very talented drivers on the front of this field with Austin Beers, who happens to be the neighbor of Matt Hirschman down at Mud Lane in Northampton, Pennsylvania. They've got this racetrack figured out for sure, and he's got a lot of momentum, as we talked about earlier. 2 runner-up finishes, and he looks to be able to get 1 spot better and be the victor tonight here at Seekonk Speedway. Green flag just moments away as they roll through turn 4. Green flag displayed, and we are underway at Seekonk.
Bottom of turn number 1, Austin Beers, but digging in hard in the outside lane is car number 89. Beers in the Sly Zabin prepared car will lead lap number 1.
Beers out in front, outside lane. Keep an eye on Jake Johnson in that 3 car. Last year it took 7 laps in, and he had the left rear tire go down. It's a tough outing for him already. Sparks flying out from that car as it bottoms out. We talked about Bugsy Stevens, a car that was paced recently, passing modified legend Jake Johnson, feeling the pressure of that here.
About everybody that loved the Bowler family and has loved Bugsy Stevens is cheering for the number 3 car. It sets in the 3rd position. Kyle Bonsignor, pink and silver machine. Car number 22 setting back in the 4th spot. Top 4 cars, and then it is Justin Bonsignor running in the tire tracks of car number 22.
So Justin Bonsignor will have an opportunity next race, which is June 22nd, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, to have a double day. He'll have a race in the Whelen Modified Tour. He'll drive the number 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series as he makes his National Series debut, riding 5th right now behind his cousin Kyle Bonsignor.
And while that is all happening, things are starting to get settled in. Directly behind him is the number 14 machine. That's Jacob Lutz, another part of the racing family, that black and gold numeral race car. He continues to run right tight to the back end of Justin Bonsignor, car number 51.
Jake making his debut today in the Whelen Modified Tour has been running for the Joe Stearns Billy Putnam number 14 Modified up in Western New York from just outside Buffalo, New York. No relation to Craig Lutz, but he's here today so that way he can be certified to be able to race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, or at least practice this car that'll be driven by Bobby Santos, who's not going to be able to practice or qualify. Santos will race the car, but Jake right here today, Jake Lutz in that 14, getting the opportunity to prove he's got the skill in these modified tour cars to be able to go run at New Hampshire.
So far today in practice and in qualifying, he did a masterful job with the car. Very competitive racing operation. We know that Santos has won before in New Hampshire, so he is definitely going to be a big factor as that car gets dialed in.
And we've spent a lot of time talking about the athletes that are in the field. We mentioned football player Tim Conley, one of the oldest drivers in the field. Jake Lutz is a driver that was a Division II championship-winning athlete for Lemoyne College, where he played lacrosse. Right now he's running 6. He's putting all that talent to work behind the wheel of that 14 car.
He certainly is, and he continues to run right with the front pack of cars. Margin between first and second is starting to open up. It is .724. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, it is Jake Johnson with the number 3 car, setting in that third position still. Takes a peek at the inside of Swanson. Swanson's car looks to be loosening up a bit, Joe, in that second position.
Matt Swanson has won very big races here, big paydays here at Seekonk Speedway. Not a full-time competitor anymore on the Whelen Modified Tour, but he's got this family number 89 running very well, who was confident coming out of practice, looks strong early, but he does get a challenge from Jake Johnson, who looks to the inside of turn 2. Johnson trying to pick up a spot, move into the runner-up spot, but for now, Swanson able to hold on.
One slip up the racetrack or one dive to the bottom could change everything in that front pack of cars. While Austin Beers is out front, here comes Jake Johnson. The Linz Propane Plus machine, trying everything to work his magic to get around Swanson. Also, at the bottom of the top 6, the 14 car still running there, and that, of course, is Jacob Lutz.
This racetrack, when we came here a year ago, you can see the darker corners, turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. They had recently paved the corners, so it was a little bit of a different feel. When the drivers came back out of practice earlier today, it was hot, sunny, and slick at this racetrack. They said the racetrack felt completely different with that rubber wearing into that new pavement and it aging over the winters here in New England. This racetrack is not the same track that these teams saw a year ago.
It certainly is not, and Matt Hirschman was one to comment on that earlier today in the paddock area. He stated simply, it's a different racetrack. A year ago, I led every lap. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to be that easy. Right now, young Austin Beers is trying to prove that. Here comes Jake Johnson again.
Johnson looking inside again. Behind them, Justin Bonsignor trying to put a move on Kyle Bonsignor, but we keep an eye on that battle for second. That middle groove carries just enough momentum to allow Matt Swanson to hold on to the spot, but Jake Johnson continues to try to work to the bottom. But Ben, you alluded to it when we were in the starting grid that you got to hang on to that right rear tire. Look at Swanson's car. His car dancing out from behind him, but Jake Johnson square and straight as he comes off the corner.
Certainly is. Jake Johnson now can get the car to the inside. Swanson's car, watch it. It kind of does a little bit of stutter step as the back end of the car starts to come away and around just a bit. But now it is Johnson that pulls it back into line. Gonna test the waters again. This could be the move. Jake Johnson, Matt Swanson, two of the best in modified racing, talent on the rise, and here comes Jake Johnson up to position number 2. Swanson tucks it back in the line, nose to tail, they come back off 4.
Jake Johnson grew up racing at this racetrack. He was a Legends winner and a champion here, won in late model competition at this racetrack. He's got a lot of history here at Seekonk Speedway. He now moves into the second spot. He's already been able to gap Matt Swanson, but he is 1.1 seconds behind the race leader Austin Beers, who has got that 64 car on cruise control through the first 30 laps.
Let's take a look further back in the field right now. Also, you're seeing Matt Hirschman back in the 7th position. Patrick Emmerling in the 8th spot. Stephen Kopsick, the 21, is 9th. And Ron Silk has broken into the top 10.
How about Matt Hirschman? Remember where he started. Qualified on the Mayhew Tool pole, slipped back to 8th because of the redraw. He's only 7th right now. When you look back through the history books of the race winners here at this track, the deepest the race winner has started has been 6th. That was done twice. Eric Beers did it, and Timmy Salamito did it. Timmy in the field tonight in the 58 car. But it's hard to work your way through traffic, and we saw how difficult it was for Jake Johnson to be able to pass Matt Swanson for the 2nd spot. Matt Hirschman, different track or not, he is one of the most prepared drivers of all of modified racing. And I think one of the reasons why he's so good is because of that thick notebook that he has.
I think you're right about that, and that notebook seems to be paying off wherever he goes. Meanwhile, the 14 car of Jacob Bunce has moved into the top 5, bumping Kyle Bonsignor, the 20 back 1. But Justin Bonsignor has moved into the 3rd position, forcing Matt Swanson, the white number 89 car, back into the 4th spot. Lutz is moving forward in position number 5. That's Jacob Lutz. Little chrome horn action there as they head down to the bottom of the turn. And here comes car number 60, Matt Hirschman. He's running on rails. Patrick Emmerling trying to get down the number 22 machine of Kyle Bonsignor for the south position.
Matt Hirschman doing what Matt Hirschman does. Very calculated as the race rolls on, allowing some of these drivers that started in the top 5 to come back. Patrick Emmerling working underneath Kyle Bonsignor, who started this race third, is now trying to hold on to the 7th spot. That car starting to backpedal here 40 laps in.
Certainly is. And we look at that battle. Stephen Kopsick with the number 21 car, making his Whelen modified debut with 2024, is into the 9th position. Ron Silk back in 10th. Running the tire tracks, Stephen Kopsick. Kopsick won a $10,000 win modified event for the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series 1 week ago.
He'll drive this 21 car. Now he's usually the crew chief for the 19 car of Anthony Cecily, his teammate now tonight in the Wanick Motorsports entry, but Stephen having an opportunity to race here in the Whelen Modified Tour. His dad, Anthony Bello, who made a start earlier this year at New Smyrna, working on this modified here tonight to get it ready to go racing.
Good battle right there as Ronnie Silk continues to test the waters just a bit. He can reel in on the back bumper of Kopsick, takes a peek to the outside, short-lived, and pulls it back into formation.
Not much forward progress tonight for Ron Silk. You can see him sawing on the wheel when they came across the start-finish line. For drivers at this racetrack, you want to hold basically 10 and 2 as you're going around the racetrack and just turn the car with the throttle. You don't want a lot of steering wheel movement here because it's basically turning the entire time.
And you definitely don't want to wring those tires. So you have to keep things smooth, consistent. Here comes Silk. Nice move to the inside. Kopsick opens the door. Ronnie Silk right there, but can't do it. He'll pull it back into formation. Stephen Kopsick with the yellow stripe on the bumper. You wouldn't think he was a rookie with the moves he's making there. And Ronnie Silk, one of the best, the dominant team and the dominant car so far this season.
Yeah, and Kopsick may have the rookie stripe on because he doesn't have very many starts in the Whelen Modified Tour, but he is no rookie in a modified racing and tour-type modified racing.
All of a sudden, his car developed a little bit of a side move, and that give the number 16 car of Ronnie Silk the opportunity to move into the 9th spot. Patrick Emmerling is just in front of him. Now Emmerling with the number 1 car, we said at the start of the program, the beginning of the year had a couple of consistent podium runs. Things changed for that race team, but now, today, he's looking to, well, be able to find his way back to the front.
The 1 car of Emmerling has had the speed all year long, but he's got caught up in a couple of things. They had a pit road violation at the Richmond Raceway back in March. That put him back in the pack. They got caught up in a wreck. Last time out at the Riverhead Raceway, One of the other cars that was involved in an accident hit the rear bumper of their machine. It attached a piece of metal to the Nerf bar. They had to come down pit road and get that metal off the car so it didn't pierce a tire from somebody else, but it cost them an opportunity to have a good run. So they've had speed, but they haven't always had the luck.
You are so correct about that. And look at Silk now. He's continuing to try to set up Patrick Emmerling. Here comes Ron Silk. Bold move to the inside. Bottom of the racetrack. Ron Silk has moved into the 8th spot. His next target is going to be Kyle Bonsignor.
Ron Silk is very deep in the running order, now in the 9th position, but his lap times, even while passing race cars side by side on the racetrack, are even a little bit better the last couple of times than the race leader, Austin Beers. So he's still deep in the pack. He's 2.3 seconds behind the race leader, but every lap or so, he's a 10th better, a couple hundredths better. He is reeling in the race leader deep in the pack.
And that patience and that ability to do just that is starting to pay off. Melissa Fifield, bottom of the racetrack, as the lead pack of cars rumble on by. Just in front of the Bonsignor machine, there is our leader out in front. Sly Zabin and Ronnie Uhouse are the two men performing the magic behind the scene, and that magic has been working as Austin Beers continues to be the driving force. Meanwhile, we've got some heavy traffic as car number 3, Jake Johnson, comes up on one of the Catalano cars.
1.6 seconds is the advantage right now, and Austin Beers looking in the rearview mirror. Every time Jake Johnson runs a little bit slower, Austin Beers runs a little bit slower, just trying to maintain that gap and not use up his equipment. Austin Beers has run really well on the large racetracks. You look at his first victory coming at Richmond Raceway, got the win up at Lancaster last year in the summer months. But these racetracks here is really what he grew up on, running at tracks like Mahoning Valley and others. Have this exact same shape, gives him a lot of confidence here at this track, and it's not really all that surprising to see him go out there and try to pace the field here in the early going.
You know, he quickly goes around the Ebersol machine, car number 5 that is running back in the 17th position. When we talked to Austin Beers in the pits earlier, he said this racetrack reminds me of my home track, Mahoning Valley. There is one thing. After several laps in the competition, your neck muscles start to hurt. All of a sudden, your head that was holding straight is now leaning. And that leaning and that pressure creates a whole different illusion.
Well, it's a good thing that they've got those headrests that come right around the right side of the driver, because this is a racetrack that does exactly that. He did speak about that earlier today in the day. Steven Kopsick on the bottom in the number 20 car. Patrick Emmerling up top of the outside lane. This is 9th and 10th in turn 3.
Sure. And again, heavy traffic just in front of them. Steven Kopsick has really matured. Running in the 9th position, that 21 car goes to the inside of the Tom Rogers green number 00. Back in 2016, it was Timmy Solomito that was the big winner here at the Cement Palace. And right now, we've got a great battle shaping up through heavy traffic now. Ronnie Silk is now up to 7. We said, traffic has become the key situation here.
Ron Silk, one of the only drivers to be charging through the field. Even Matt Hirschman has paused his charge. He's only moved up to the 6th position. Ron Silk up to 7th, but about a second behind the 6th place car, Hirschman. That was the first mistake we've seen out of Silk. A little wiggle that time coming across the start finish line, but his car is very, very good at this point in the race.
It certainly is good. Phil Moran said, you know, when you run this racetrack, the setup has to change because, as you pointed it out earlier, Joe, there is some new pavement on the turns at the bottom of the racetrack. That's starting to work. Here comes Silk, working his magic. Lap automobile, car number 84, that is Tyler Catalano, as Silk makes the move by. Once he gets by, he's trying to close up that gap very, very impressively. There's no question. Ron Silk is coming. Beers is still your leader. Jake Johnson is second. Justin Bonsignore is third. Matt Swanson is fourth. And rounding out the top 5, great run for Jacob Lutz.
Ron Silk has plenty of time to get there. The challenge is he's running in 7th. When he is in clear racetrack, Ron Silk is about a tenth to a tenth and a half a second a lap faster than Austin Beers.
He certainly is, and he's continuing to show that. Here comes Kopsick, car number 21. Kyle Bonsignore, pink and gray and blue car. And Stephen Kopsick has moved up into the top 8.
Very good run for Kopsick.
Very solid and very consistent, Joe.
And showing that long run speed that Stephen Kopsick knows how to provide in race cars. You look at his success as a crew chief, one of the biggest wins he had was that big 250 lap Musket 250 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He was a crew chief. Chase Dowling was the driver, but Stephen Kopsick was a mastermind behind that victory.
He certainly was. He also worked closely with Chase Dowling when he was the big dog in most of the open style events. That was a few seasons ago, but right now, Kopsick continues to thread the needle and work some magic. Now, things are starting to change just a bit. Matt Hirschman is into the top 5. Hirschman directly behind the Saravello Auto Sales Machine, and that is Matt Swanson.
Hirschman, a moment ago, got by Jake Lutz. He's into the top 5, and his car has gone to the afterburners. 86 laps in. We're in the second half of this race of 150 laps. The J&R Precast 150, and Matt Hirschman is now starting to time this out and figure out if he's got enough time to track down Austin Beers. He's on the attack in turn 1.
There's no question he's running the bottom of the racetrack. He runs tight to the inside. Swanson cannot keep his car down. Here comes Matt Hirschman. Hirschman has moved into the top 4. Justin Bonsignore directly in front of him. Swanson isn't giving up. He tries to make some pressure there in the outside lane. And there is Jacob Lutz right there behind Swanson. Car number 14.
A great run today by Jake Lutz to be able to run in the 6th position. Debut race in the Whelen Modified Tour. 3rd race with his team this season in modified competition, and he is having a great day if he can bring it home in the top 5. He's just outside that right now as he hounds the 89 of Swanson. Here's a battle, though. Hirschman closing in on 3rd, as directly ahead of him is Justin Bonsignore. They work around the lap machine of Tim Conley to the bottom, but it didn't take long for Matt Hirschman to close that gap up on the 51 car.
Meanwhile, Matt Hirschman comes up on lap traffic. That's the Tim Conley machine, car number 4.
Bob Garbarino in the house tonight.
Yes, he is, as a lot of the veteran drivers who were here to pay tribute to the legendary Carl Bugsy Stevens and the family of that legendary driver. Back towards the front of the field, Ronnie Silk has reeled in on the back bumper of Jacob Lutz. Silk, the 16 car, setting in 7th. Jacob Lutz in the 6th spot. And now our attention shifts, the margin between the 51 of Justin Bonsignore in the 3rd position. And here comes Hirschman. Hirschman has a bottom shot car that when he aims it to the inside, it seems to stick.
It's going to be very interesting if Hirschman can quickly get by Justin Bonsignore and quickly get by the 3 car for Jake Johnson. That would put him into 2nd. From there on, other than lap traffic, he'd have clear track to be able to track down Austin Beers. Here it is, the move to the inside of turn 1. Bonsignore in the middle groove. Here comes Hirschman. Can't quite make it work off 2.
He dives to the inside. Matt Hirschman is up now into position number 3. Hirschman isn't done yet. He sets his sight. That blue car up ahead is the Linz Propane Plus machine, and that is Jake Johnson. While all this has been happening, Austin Beers, consistent and smooth at the front of the field. Best lap time was a 12.246.
Austin
There's
Beers,
a look at the leader.
Heavy lap traffic. He puts Doug Kobe a lap down. He's got cars all around him. Anthony Cecily is there, the 01. Melissa Fifield at the bottom. This is going to cost Austin Beers some time. Meanwhile, on the afterburner is Matt Hirschman. He's starting to close into the back bumper of Jake Johnson, but Anthony Cecily not making it easy for Austin Beers to get by.
Well, all of a sudden it is Austin Beers working his way, threading the needle through traffic. Car number 64. Now, here's the battle again with Silk. Setting back in the 6th position. Jacob Lutz was almost there, and then he lost some momentum with that move.
Many great battles to keep an eye on. We've watched Ron Silk drive from 11th, now up to 6th. Jake Lutz back to the 7th spot at the moment. Swanson not that far ahead. He's off the front bumper of the 16 car of Ron Silk.
Sure is, and that's the battle for that 5th position as Matt Swanson continues to try to hold off the pressures. Here is Silk closing up the gap, lap traffic.
And Silk is on the same straightaway, as little as the straightaway is, as Matt Hirschman is. As Justin Bonsignore is. This battle not all that far behind from that battle second spot, as Matt Hirschman continuing to hound the back bumper of the 3 car, Jake Johnson.
Look at Ron Silk. He literally pointed the car to the bottom that time. Couldn't make move. Here he's going to try it again. The back end slips around just a bit. Ron Silk almost there. Can't do it. And has to pull it back into line.
You saw Silk lean on that right rear, snap the car sideways, getting into turn 1 to see if he can get it underneath the 89 of Swanson.
And here comes Hirschman. Closed up the gap on Jake Johnson. Johnson just in front of him. And then there's a gap, but right now there is no gap. It's almost gone between Jake Johnson and Matt Hirschman.
Matt Hirschman, if he wants a shot at winning this race with 40 laps to go, he's got to make quick work of Jake Johnson. Pulls to the inside here on the front straightaway into turn number 1. Battle is on for the 2nd spot. Austin Beers within sight, but Hirschman loses ground. He couldn't keep it stuck to the bottom.
He tried everything. Had to pull it back into line. Lost about a car length and a half. That gave Jake Johnson a little bit of breathing room, currently setting in 2nd. Where is the leader? Well, car number 64 still maintaining that nice, good advantage as our leader.
Austin Beers has been running 12.7 seconds laps for the last 70 laps or so, but he's had to work through lap traffic. He's got Tom Rogers directly ahead. He's got 35 laps to go when they come to the line this time by, and there you see the gap, the white 64 back to the blue 3 of Jake Johnson, the black 60 of Matt Hirschman. That's 2nd and 3rd.
And there's plenty of traffic up ahead. Here comes Matt Hirschman, the BD Motorsports car. Hirschman runs on rails to the inside, but it is Jake Johnson who's fighting fiercely in the upper lane.
Jake Johnson racing in front of his hometown crowd here tonight. Wants to have a good podium finish, but this time Hirschman with a slight edge on the front straightaway. They go toe-to-toe into turn 1. Hirschman, inch by inch, nosing out in front of Jake Johnson.
It is Matt Hirschman now in 2nd. Hirschman comes up on the number 19 machine of Anthony Cecily. Lap traffic continues to be a part of this. Keep your eyes on Hirschman. Moves to the inside of Cecily, the lapped automobile. Matt Hirschman closing up the gap. The margin between 1st and 2nd, and we've got a caution.
One of the Catalano cars has gone around off turn 4. I believe it's Tyler Catalano that is spun in the 84 car, and that'll be the first caution of the night, 30 laps from the finish. And that was not the caution Austin Beers wanted, but it is the one that Matt Hirschman wanted.
It certainly is, and the same can be said for Jake Johnson and Justin Bonsignore, along with Matt Swanson and Ronnie Silk. Bottom of the top 10 in 7th, Jacob Lutz. Stephen Kopsick, good run up to the 8th spot, car number 21. Kyle Bonsignore is 9th, and Patrick Emmerling currently being shown in the 10th position. Out in front, there is our leader, Austin Beers. One thing he was definite about, that he said, I usually don't draw well. Today, he made a great draw, and that draw has given him the advantage for 120 plus laps.
Austin Beers running in a perfect position for this race. There you see the 60 car of Matt Hirschman. Now, one thing just to think about, they got off to kind of a rough start of the season, but you know, by their standard, right? They have had a really good start to the season. They had the problem at Richmond where they crashed early on, finished last in the event, but they've had a great stretch here in this 3-race short track series between Monadnock Speedway, Riverhead, and now here today at Seekonk. 2 runner-up finishes has dominated this race. I said, Austin, what changed? He said, you know, we left Thompson Speedway and we had set the standard, the bar, so high for us that we didn't meet it. We said, let's start having fun again. And when they put the fun in the race, they started running well.
Well, there's no question now we can see the parade of cars heading back. And here at this facility, there is no pit road. For those of you that are watching on Flow, it's kind of backstage. Catalano team jacking up the back end of the number 84 car, checking stagger. But as we look a little further down the line, Tim Conley's car, they've had a problem getting that car fired back up earlier in today's practice session. Catalano makes it back out. There's the 44 of Doug Kobe. Salamito. And there is your leader, Sly Zabin, a man that performed the magic for a lot of people, including Ryan Preece, back in the old days of Flamingo Motorsports and the number 16 race team. He joined forces with Ronnie Uhouse and Murph, the Irish Angel, owner of the race car, the Fast Track 64. And that car, well, it is now going to have to hold off the defending Whelen Modified Tour race winner here at this racetrack. And you know, as you look at the 2 cars, it's kind of like an old Western. White car for Austin Beers versus the black hat car of Matt Hirschman.
You know, Matt Hirschman, I think, summed up this racetrack best. There's 11 races that we've run here at Seekonk Speedway in the history of the Whelen Modified Tour. Only once has a driver won more than one time, and that's Doug Kobe. He's a 2-time winner. So he said, you know what, it's hard to win multiple races at this racetrack because this racetrack changes. Every time you come back, it's a little bit different. And Matt Hirschman, one of the reasons why I think he's had a lot of success here at this racetrack is we joke about the notebook. He's standing in the driver's meeting earlier today, ironically enough, right next to Austin Beers, and he's flipping through his notes constantly.
Yes, he is, looking at every minute detail. And not only that, if you look at Matt Hirschman, some people will say he doesn't seem like a very friendly guy. That is not the case. The situation with Hirschman is he is totally focused. He comes to each and every event with one thing in mind, to win the event. Second just isn't good enough for Matt Hirschman.
He's calculated. He knows these race cars inside and out. He does the work on them himself, but he knows exactly where he needs to be on the racetrack, at what time he needs to press it. We saw as we got to lap 80, lap 90, he started making his moves. That set him up to have this position now on the outside of the front row and have a shot to win. If it wasn't what he did 50, 60 laps ago, he would never have an opportunity to challenge Austin Beers.
You know, think about this for one moment as we're about ready to fire them back up. The kid that grew up next door to the legend is now trying to hold him off. Green flag out, and by inches, it's Austin Beers. Here comes Hirschman. And watch row number 2, because there is Jake Johnson and Justin Bonsignor.
You see the rubber flying off the tires as we get down to the end of this one here. Inside now, 20 laps to go in the J&R Precast 150. All race long, Matt Hirschman has worked the bottom. Now he's on the outside lane, and he has an edge in the race lead over Austin Beers.
Austin Beers continues to dig hard and dig on the inside. They cling and they clang as they work their magic. Beers' car starts to loosen up. They come together. It is Matt Hirschman in command. That upsets the Beers machine. Settling back into second, and here comes Jake Johnson.
Austin Beers has looked up to the driving style, the ability of Matt Hirschman. We talked about it. Mud Lane, Northampton, Pennsylvania. They literally live on the same street. They both drive the same racetracks, the same style. But this time, a little mistake on the inside lane by Austin Beers gives the race lead to Matt Hirschman.
And that's all it takes, is just a fraction of a second. And meanwhile, we're looking at the Matt Swanson machine that was running up in front, has now started to fall back a bit to the 8th position. Now make that 9th. Back up front. Bonsignor holding off Stephen Kopsick. Kopsick, that 21 car, trying to make a bid to take over the 5th spot. Let's go up front. Ron Silk is there in the tire tracks of Jake Johnson.
Ron Silk continues to pitch that car sideways, doing everything he can to sneak underneath Jake Johnson. He'll do it here in turn 3, wheel to wheel through turns 3 and 4. Ever so slight contact between the 16 and the 3. Here comes Silk to the bottom.
Silk is now on the podium in the 3rd position. Jake Johnson drops back to 4, and then Justin Bonsignor, car number 51, is 5th. Trouble now. Jake Johnson gets sideways, corrects the automobile, but he has lost several positions on the racetrack.
It may not be over yet. Contact continues. Jake Lutz was there as he came up 3 wide for a moment. Patrick Emmerling a bit of contact, and he's got all the marbles on that 3 car, and he's trying to get those tires cleared off.
With that stutter step, Jake Johnson has dropped back to the 8th position. Patrick Emmerling is behind him with the 1 car, and Matt Swanson running in the 10th spot.
Here Emmerling now to the bottom. Johnson is going to be heartbroken after a top 5 run has now been spoiled. He now moves back to 9th as Emmerling works to the inside.
Good battle there. Patrick Emmerling picks up the spot. Here comes Swanson. Jake Johnson stuck in the upper lane. Matt Swanson continues to try to get down underneath the 3 car, but Jake Johnson continues to try to hold him off. Good side-by-side battle of 2 of the top young drivers in Whelen Modified Tour action.
Swanson, 89, bottom, great run for that team here today. Certainly starting on the front row, didn't have the result inside the top 5 I know they were hoping for. Jake Johnson has had a banner season so far, giving it everything he had. He's going to lose some ground at the end. And how about the 06 of Sammy Ramos?
Sammy Ramos making his debut in 2024. Ramos does a great job, moves in to try to challenge now for the 10th position. Sammy Ramos digging in the upper groove, but all of a sudden, Swanson is able to pull back in line and in formation. Ramos wiggles a bit. Back up front. Bid is for 2nd.
2 laps to go for Matt Hirschman. As he's got that 60 car on rails, he qualified on the pole position tonight on the redraw. He spun 8. He had to go back to the 8th spot. 1 lap to go in traditional Matt Hirschman style. He is headed for his 2nd consecutive win here at Seekonk.
No question about it. He'll be one of 2 drivers to win twice in a Whelen Modified Tour event. The J&R Precast event is into the record books, and Matt Hirschman will take down the victory. Austin Beers will finish in 2nd. Ronnie Silk on the podium for 3rd. Great run for Stephen Kopsick for 4th, and Justin Bonsignor to round out the top 5.
Matt Hirschman did exactly what Matt Hirschman does. He saved his equipment to the very end. He scores his 9th career Whelen Modified Tour victory, 2nd consecutive win here at Seekonk Speedway, and he starts the deepest anybody has ever started, 8th position in the history of the series.
That is so true, and he did it. It seemed really odd for him because of the spin of the wheel. It was right on the line. He had to respin it. He was disappointed. You'll be seeing that footage, but there's no question. Seekonk Speedway and the Cement Palace for the J&R Precast event, it kind of all ties together, and Matt Hirschman is back in winning style here at the facility that he has pretty much owned the real estate for many a modified event.
And this racetrack has a great crowd on hand here tonight. 360-degree seating around the Seekonk Speedway, and what a show it was. A great battle up front throughout the race. You saw Ron Silk come charging through the field. Clearly, Matt Hirschman came charging through the field. There was a lot to watch in this 150-lap event as the field gets ready and prepared to head to the largest track on the circuit. That's the Magic Mile on June 22nd up at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
You know, two other side notes in this event. What about young Steven Kopsik to finish in the 4th position and Jacob Lutz to finish in the 6th spot? Those individuals are showing they are going to be a threat in events to come. And going back, Jake Johnson, Matt Swanson, all of them doing good. Sammy Ramo trying to break into the top 10 in the closing laps here at Seekonk.
So the hat for Matt Hirschman, waiting to pop out of that race car. A tremendous drive for him. Austin Beers, 3rd race in a row. He had a great stretch in our 3-race short-track bull ring series between Monadnock, Riverhead, and here at Seekonk Speedway over the last 3 races. Ron Silk offering congratulations to Matt Hirschman, but Austin Beers is not going to be satisfied tonight with a 2nd place.
No, he is not, even though that he did turn in an unbelievable run. When you looked at the record books, the first Whelen Modified Tour event, it was Reggie Ruggiero that held off Mr. Excitement to be the big winner then. Getting out of the automobile, let's go down to Victory Lane.
Careful, watch that tongue.
Matt, congratulations. Wow, what a win. Coming all the way from 8th place. There were 30 laps to go and the caution comes out. You were made your way all the way up to 2nd place. What went through your mind when that caution flag flew and you knew that you had a chance for the win tonight?
Well, yeah, to erase the deficit, I kind of was seeing him ahead of me out of the corner of my eye. I was seeing him when he was in a pack of traffic, but then I was going to have to make my way through that same pack. So, yeah, really, we had to work for that one for sure. It just thankful for the whole PD Motorsports team. We haven't had really too much to show for anything since February, and it's good to come here to Seekonk and go back-to-back from last year. And it's always a challenging track. It changes throughout the race. The characteristics of my car changed throughout the race, and it came in good on the restart. I was able to go side by side there with Austin and finally get ahead, and it seemed like we were fine then. Just had to get the pass done, and we definitely earned this one tonight.
You absolutely did. You had to put a lot of arm work into that. Etching off your first win in the Tour for 2024. Does it feel like you have a weight off your chest just a little bit now?
Just to get a good win here, a big Touring Series win. We didn't have one since April with Race of Champions at my local track. So finally out on the road and get a big win. That's over for, at least in my opinion, for our team, and just glad that everybody kept working. We got it done tonight. And on a special night, we remember Bugsy Stevens. They did the, his final lap here before the program. So it's an honor to be here tonight and witness that and get a win here. Thanks, Seekonk Speedway, J&R Precast. I always enjoy coming here. I look forward to coming back later this month for the Open Wheel Wednesday. Always one of my favorite events of the year. The fans always seem to come out for that. So thankful for everybody for coming out. A beautiful night here, and enjoy the last show, last race of the night, and hopefully we'll see you back later this month.
Congratulations, Matt Hirschman, bringing it home tonight in Victory Lane in the J&R Precast 150.
Ben, he's had a lot of success here. Big money Matt Hirschman. A lot of that nickname comes from his success here at this racetrack.
It certainly does. And, of course, you can see the great crowd that came out and stayed for each and every turn and each and every lap. J&R Precast, of course, the big sponsors of this event, and the Vendetti family hosting this event. This, of course, the 12th time that the Whelen Modified Tour has come to this great facility. And now let's go down and meet our 2nd place finisher, Austin Beers.
I walked up and Austin shrugged and said, close. 2nd place again behind the number 60 of Matt Hirschman. You guys raced side by side for several laps. Did you think that you were able to hold him off, though, before you had contact?
No, he was a little bit better. Just kind of my fault. I wanted to start freer than usually what we do, and kind of bit us. But just a lot of learning stuff here. Probably should have picked the top and pinched him like he pinched to me. So, but obviously it was probably cool for the fans to watch that. It was fun side-by-side battling. We didn't really hit each other. So just a lot of learning and kind of, dejected right now. But 3 seconds in a row is nothing to hang our heads about. So we'll go to New Hampshire and try to win.
Absolutely. And you drove a great race, able to keep the lead for almost the entire 150 laps. Austin Beers is going to bring it home in second place tonight at Seekonk.
Well, happy with the second,
yes.
But you can see he knows he left some on the table tonight.
He certainly does. And he came here to win like everybody else in this field, but he really was able to get the job done. And, of course, the man that's been pretty much the dominant guy throughout the early half of the season was the man that finished in the third spot. Joe?
Started 11th tonight, worked his way toward the front of the field, became a factor at the end. Let's hear from our third-place finisher, Wood Jacklin.
Silky smooth, number 16, Ron Silk, bringing it home in third, rounding out our podium tonight. Ron, talk me through how your car was. You got a little bit of that long run, which is what you were hoping for, but what did you think about the grooves in that number 16?
Yeah, happy with our night. Starting 11th, it's tough to come back through from that, especially with a lack of yellow, so you're just passing cars one at a time, and it seems like it takes forever, but just really happy with third tonight. It kind of feels like a win after the day we had, and just want to thank all the fans for coming out, thank my entire team, and we'll try again at the next one.
Well, congratulations, Ron Silk, going to bring it home in third place.
Well, Ron Silk scoring another podium finish. It wasn't a win tonight, but that's kind of what those championship seasons are made of. You have a rough day with a bad qualifying effort, and then somehow, some way, find yourself among the championship contenders. He earns the most points.
He sure does, and that's key in his quest for another title. And, of course, the Whelen Modified Tour goes on June 22nd to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, July 20th back to Monadnock Speedway for the second visit there on August 3rd, Lancaster Motorplex. And then on August 14th, Thompson Speedway, Motorsports Park. Join us. You won't be disappointed with the men and women of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
A great schedule coming up. We go to the biggest track on the circuit next time out, June 22nd, and you also have an opportunity to watch Justin Bonsignore make his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut for Joe Gibbs Racing at the Magic Mile. It was a great crowd on hand all race long. More racing to continue here at Seekonk Speedway. The green flag for the modified saw Austin Beers dominate early, but a late race caution spoiled everything, and Matt Hirschman charged from the 8th spot up to the front with an opportunity to win tonight.
Certainly did, and of course, Jake Johnson along with Matt Swanson, and there was the move that gave car number 60 the advantage, and Jake Johnson, what a save.
Checkered flag fell for the second year in a row. Matt Hirschman wins at Seekonk Speedway. That'll do it here from Seekonk. We'll see you next time from New Hampshire.